a grandmother.
Women in leadership, business, and lifestyle.
I know I do. Sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Welcome to another segment of Lifin' Talk with me here today is my very special guest, Dr. Rose White, my collaborator and my friend. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So I thought that we talk about a very powerful topic this morning, and what that topic is letting go to grow. And at one point or another, all of us have had those moments where we've wanted growth, but we haven't been willing to release something that is holding us back. And so I think that it is a place where we stay that is actually safe and comfortable, and there's no more room to expand or to grow because there's no more capacity. So I think that we have to ask ourselves, what are we holding on to that's not allowing us to move to that next chapter? Because we do need to make room in our space to let go of the old and bring in the new. And you know what? Letting go is definitely not losing something, but it's creating space for something far greater than what you had. So, Dr. Rose, in your talking to your clients, what are some of those common reasons and things that people hold on to? Because, you know, it's one of those where, again, it all kind of circles back around to that word stuck.
You know, Liz, I think about some of my clients, including myself. You know, we get stuck in yesteryears, past identities, how people used to see us, how they have defined us. And so, with that, a lot of times, you know, those particular things and how we used to be, it's not how we are today. You know, it has become outdated. It's the same as just because I wore my hair one way 10 years ago, but now that I've changed it up and I'm doing something different, people look at me a little strange and they're like, but that's not how you used to wear your hair. Today is a different day, but we tend to still hold on.
Did you have
to
big
those
hair
things.
in the
I
70s?
love big hair. Oh my goodness
I just
gracious.
had a visual of her. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And for me back in the day, the bigger the better. And so it was just unbelievable. But you know, now this is a different time period.
Yes, it is.
You know, and so where we used to wear the hair big, now what do we have? The little short bobs, they're much shorter. But I believe so oftentimes we still hold on to those old identities, and they can be a hindrance. And even though on the inside we know that we need to make a change, but because of how we think people are expecting us to behave, many of my clients have become stuck, what I say, stuck in a rut of yesterday.
Well, and I think that it all focuses on understanding, you know, the why. Why letting go is so hard. And I think that some of the things that we really hold on to, for example, and Dr. Rose, you can add in some more, but I would say, you know, who you used to be. So an old identity. And then most certainly, I think with the clients that I meet, that's either in the top two relationships. Holding on to a relationship that feels comfortable, and also, you know, your failures of your past or regrets. And so that keeps you in a holding pattern. And so for some reason, there's a block where you can't let those things go. And so I think that sometimes it's in the comfortable and the predictable thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it really does become part of who we are and who our story, what character we play in our own story.
Absolutely.
And so there's that repeat button that goes around and around. So what can we do to break that whole pattern, to start to acknowledge that, yes, we do need to let go of some things? And Dr. Rose, what would you say to that?
Letting go is very hard, because you mentioned the word familiar. We become familiar with certain things. Some people won't let go. I've had clients that they want to continue to run their business the way that they did 20 years ago, and they don't want to let go of the old patterns. It's like in bookkeeping and accounting, how we used to use the book to write down everything, the debits and the credit. Well, later, when now the accounting program started coming out, the bookkeeping software came out, it was sort of hard to transition over to that because we were used to the old patterns of writing everything down. And now with AI, it's just a matter of putting in a few things, and it makes things even more simpler. And so we get so used to things that becomes a pattern. It becomes a habit. It's familiar. I'm comfortable with that. But the moment that we can get to that place of saying, I am going to allow myself to learn something new, I'm going to release that. Yes, I've done that for the last 20 years, but I'm seeing that this is a better way, an easier way, a more effective way in doing things. So I am going to make a decision right now. I'm going to let that old way of doing things stop, change, and I'm going to be willing to be open to that which is new.
And that's really good. And also, letting go doesn't mean that you have to give everything up.
Right.
Most certainly, this is not what we're saying, but it is worth the time for you to really assess where you are in life and where you want to go. And that's where goal setting comes into place. Yeah. And that's where self-assessment comes into place. And so many other things. It doesn't mean giving up. And it doesn't mean forgetting your past, because our past is part of our history, which is beautiful. And that makes us and molds us, because the past is what we learn, where we learn, to go into the future with. And, it's not about pretending that something didn't matter or a person didn't matter to you. But what it does mean, and maybe you can reflect on that and kind of give some, some tidbits on that. What does that mean? So when you have a client come to you and they're having trouble with that, what does that mean to them? Maybe some ideas. Letting go. How do I do that, Dr. Rose?
Looking at my question is, does it still fit? I'm going to use an example of, and I've even had to ask this to some clients, especially some of my female clients. Yeah. You go in your closet and you have some clothes, you have some dresses, and you've had a dress, you love that dress. But the question is, does that dress still fit you today like it fit you last year? If it no longer fits, then perhaps it's now time to let that dress go. We have to sometimes find out, and that is the question that I always ask. Is it still significant, important right now? Is it still working? Because if a thing is no longer working, if it is no longer effective, if it is no longer bringing any value, then perhaps it's now time to let it go. Let's look at another option that will bring you the same amount of joy and pleasure and enjoyment and benefits as that dress you had in the closet. But now this is something a little bit different. And it gives me the same amount of joy.
And, I think too, for the clients that I meet, what I always suggest to them, this is a choice that you have, which is a beautiful thing because we're humans. And so, you know what? We have to look here and now and learn from the past. And it is a choice. You have a choice to choose growth over some type of resentment that you hold. You have acceptance, accepting the thing and letting it go. Forgiving. You know what? You might forgive doesn't necessarily always mean that you can forget. But all of those things are forward movement, reaction of the choice to release, because ultimately, until you have that emotional release, you can't go forward to let the thing go. And I think it's important because also if you think about it, and you may want to have something to say about that, but the way that I look at it is letting go is really an act of self-leadership, because you know what? Who's in charge of your own boat? You're the captain of your own boat. You drive your own car. So it is a forward motion, a decision of self-leadership that you're going to lead your life and you direct your life, and nobody can tell you what's better for you except for you.
Absolutely. I really like that. You said about choices. Life is about choices. It's about the decisions in which you made. You can, on your way, getting in that car, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go on I-295 North. And it could be many different ways to get you to that particular highway. And someone has told you, okay, you need to go this way. But on the inside, you've made up in your mind, my decision is I'm going to get to I-295 in this direction. You make that choice into which map you're going to follow, which road you're going to choose to travel on to get to your destination. Choices are powerful.
Yes, they
and
are.
you have that option of making that choice, that decision.
Well, and I think too, what we also talk about with clients is identification. Recognize the signs, okay? The sign, it's time to let go. So what does that look like? It could be number one in my book, emotional drain.
Yes.
You feel tired.
Oh, yes.
You're sick and tired of the person, the place, or the thing, because we all have our moments.
Yes. Yes.
You feel stuck. And you feel uninspired. You don't want to do anything because you don't think that you can. You don't have the energy to do it. That's where the emotional drain comes in, and you're just not motivated. Mm-hmm. So and also it could be holding on to a past hurt, which caused a fear of the thing, okay, that prohibits you from making room to do something that you actually love. And it's in your wheelhouse because you're gifted to do that. So, Dr. Rose, would you add anything to that?
Because that's a sign, Liz.
Yes.
That is an absolute sign. Anything that becomes a weight, and that's a weight emotionally. Anything that is sort of weighing you down, is draining your energy. That's a clear sign that's something that you need to let go. Secondly, I'm going to say anything that does not allow you to grow. If you're seeing yourself stuck in a place where you can't seem to elevate, you can't seem to get to the next level, okay, you're in something that is a clear sign. You've got to let it go. because you can't grow in it. It's like staying on a job and you know that you can do so much more. But here is where the line is drawn. And this is as far as you can go, but yet and still you know that you can do better. But I want to also talk about, and this is so important to me. And this is something that I share with clients, I share with church members, I share with people. Anything that causes you to lose your sense of peace, that's a definite sign. Let that go quick and in a hurry. That's my word. Because if it doesn't bring you peace, it's a hindrance. And you're not going to be able to go forth. You're not going to be able to excel. You're not going to be able to do greater things because your peace has been disrupted. And you need peace in order to become your better self, to become the bigger you. So if your peace is being drained and pulled and stifled, let it go.
Well, and I think it's connecting the dots because if you're at a halt, you're stuck, you don't feel inspired, you're exhausted, then it is time to really have that mindset shift. And I know I say that a lot because that's really what we're here to help with is having another set of people in your life that are, really great motivators for you, that give you the motivation, that see something that's hidden within you, and they can bring it out because they give you other perspectives. And so I think that it's inevitable that we stay stuck in that same stage because you know what? We all grow, just like the seasons, just like the years. They go by. So we need to have that sense of it all comes down to choice. And so you have that little special voice in you that's intuition. So it whispers, it is time for a change. So when you do the work within you and you let go, that's when the real growth happens. You can see that you have been through just that awakening of things and you have gotten rid of what no longer serves you. And when you do that, more room opens up. And so it releases such amazing opportunities. So new opportunities, new ideas, creativity comes to you, a clear vision. You have, as Dr. Rose was talking about, peace, because that is something that's invaluable. You cannot put a monetary value on that. To have peace in your life. And then it all aligns with bringing out your authentic identity. And I think that's when the real growth, you make a huge leap forward instead of backwards. And so what would you say? Anything else that you would add to that, Dr. Rose?
You said it all. And Liz, the thing that I would add is that letting go is a process. Everything that we do is a process. Again, we've been using the term pattern. And when it comes to pattern making, dressmaking, there are processes that you have to go through to get the end result of the product. In life, to get where you need to go to, there is a process. And so there comes a time when you've got to acknowledge some truths. You've got to know what has to be done, what needs to be done. The moment you can acknowledge, okay, this is in the way, this is disrupting my peace, this is keeping me from having the joy that I really need, then you're able to let that go. But also being able to accept the fact that seasons change.
Yes.
Seasons change. Just like right now, we're going into spring. And in certain areas you can see the different things are starting to change. Flowers beginning to bloom. Colors of leaves are starting to change. Seasons to change. So acknowledge that. Acknowledge the various processes of each change in your life and be willing to let go of the things that do not fit in to that season of change.
Well, and I think it's very important to be aware, to welcome the change.
Yeah.
Because just like, we wish it was maybe spring all year long. We don't have a choice.
Right.
We gotta embrace the seasons. And it goes along with embracing the seasons of our life. And so in closing, I think that I want you to walk away with some practical steps to begin the process of the awareness of letting go. And it's very simple application because number one, it starts with the awareness that something doesn't feel good, with what you're doing or where you're at. You're misaligned. And so that's number one. And it also is acceptance that you have been there, done that, and you're ready to move on because you learned from that thing. And being intentional to release anything that has held you back, because guess what? We only have today and we have the now. And if something happened yesterday or five years ago, there's not a thing that you could do to rectify that. Whether it was directly you involved or you being in the situation, and maybe it was somebody else's problem. And then shift your focus instead of focusing on the who and the what and the where. Focus on you. Start focusing on you, because until you get your focus off of everything else and really put the energy to where it's inwardly, then you're right back at square one. But if you focus and you really make it intentional focus, you're going to see that things are going to start to change in your life. And do you have any other closing?
You know what? I don't. The only thing that I want to encourage each and every one that's listening today, and that is just let go.
Yes.
You have been created for greatness. You have been created to fulfill destiny and purpose. Let go of yesterday. Today is a brand new day. And tomorrow, that's not here yet. But one thing that we have to believe, that tomorrow is going to be better than today. So let go and just allow life to happen. The greater things are still yet to come.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. That was awesome. But I will say, sometimes growth is not about adding more things in your life.
Yeah.
Okay. It's about having that intention of the thought process of sometimes, number one, you might have to be still, and you might have to get rid of some things instead of adding some things. And when you do that, you're going to find that growth is going to happen in such an amazing way. So I hope that today's segment of letting go and grow really inspired you, because this is what this channel is here to do. Just giving you some practical steps and strategies. So if you like today's segment, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and definitely share, because this could be one click away from you sharing. It could inspire somebody that really needs the inspiration and the motivation to move, to let go, and to start their growth process. So with that, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day. And Dr. Rose, thank you so much for being my special guest.
Thank you.
And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.